Well, hello there. Thanks for coming by. My name is Chris Taylor, and from Tahiti. Right now, we're going to talk about the G major scale and chord construction and intervals and harmony and maybe some other stuff I'm forgetting. We're talking about the G major scale. Helps if I get it facing the right way. There we go. You see that across the bottom of your screen? G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. Those are the notes in a G major scale. On your guitar, you play the G major scale starting on the low E string. You have 3, 5, then on the A string, 2, 3, 5, then on the D string, 2, 4, 5, on the G string, 2, 4, 5 again, on the B string, 3, 5, and on the E string, 2, 3. So that's 3, 5 on the E string, 2, 3, 5 on the A string, 2, 4, 5 on the D string, 2, 4, 5 on the G string, 3, 5 on the B string, and then 2, 3 on the high E string. So 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, and 2, 3. It's that old scale that going up the escalator, going up the escalator. Yes, indeed. So if we look at the scale G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and if you can see it, they're each numbered, starting with G as the 1. If we take the first note, the third note, and the fifth note, so G, G, B, and D, we get a G major triad. Those are the notes that are in your garden variety first position G chord. Now, if we start on the second note, A, also written out as A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, so on and so forth, up to 7. A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, the same notes, the same sequence of notes, just starting on the A, the second note of the G major, instead of on the first note. Then you take the first note, the third note, and the fifth note, the A, the C, and the E, and you have an A minor triad. If you take, starting from the C, you have C, D, E, F sharp, G, A. See that? C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, and B. If you take the first, the third, and the fifth from there, you have C, E, and G. That's a C major triad. Those are the notes in your first position C chord. It's not a triad because you have more than 3 notes, but they're all doubles of the same notes. The notes are repeated in the chord, in the first position chord. Now if we look at the D, start from D, so D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. That makes D the first, F sharp the third, and A the fifth. Those are the notes in a D major triad. D, F sharp, and A. If you start on the E, get E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, and D. And you take the first, the fifth, the third, and the fifth, first, third, and fifth. So you get E, G, and B. E, G, and B make an E minor triad. Then you have the F sharp. You start from there, you take the first, the third, and the fifth. You have F sharp is the 1, A is the 3, and C is the 5th. So F sharp, A, and C. And that gives you an F sharp diminished triad. And those are the basic way that diatonic harmony is created. That's the basis of our Western music system. Quick review here. So in a G major triad, you have G, B, and D. G, B, D. That makes a G major triad. If you take A, C, and E, you have an A minor triad, A, C, and E. If you don't know the note names and you're playing guitar, you should learn them as soon as possible. Put yourself through some drills. It's just the alphabet. And it repeats. It's easy. You'll get it. Without that, it's very hard to communicate with other musicians and to learn things. Let's see. This mirror writing is tough. B, D, and I made it upside down, sorry, and F sharp. That makes a B minor triad. C, E, and G, that makes a C major triad. D, F sharp, and A, that makes a D major triad. E, G, and B, E, G, and B, that makes an E minor triad. E, the G, and the B. The difference between a major and a minor is how far away from the starting note the third is. From E to G is a major third. From E to F sharp, one step back from this, one fret back, is a minor third. That's intervals. And if you have F sharp, A, and C, you have an F sharp diminished triad. So starting from a major scale and then building the chords, you end up with 3 major chords, 3 minor chords, and 1 diminished chord. The minors are relative to one of the majors that they have special relationship with. For instance, the G major and the E minor, the C major and the A minor, and the D major and the B minor. it's known as relative minor chords. Let's see what else I wanted to talk about. Something. So that's the basics of chord construction, and harmony also. There's a system called the Nashville number system, and if you look at the G, I'm going to cart back here again. Let's see. If you look at the G as being the 1, and the chord that's built off it also as being the 1 chord, then you'd have the 1 chord, the 2 chord, the 3 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, the 6 chord, and the 7th chord. I'm looking at the chords that way, so you might hear someone speak of a 1, 4, 5. That would be a G major, a D major, and a C major. Moving between those chords, that would be a 1, 4, and 5, with G being the 1 chord, C being the 4 chord, because it's G, 1, 2, 3, 4. C is the 4 chord, pardon me. And it's starting with the G, 1, 2, 3, 4. See where C, the chord built off the C, would be the 4 chord of the key, and then the D, the chord built off the D, would be the 5 chord of the key. So G, C, and D, that's a 1, 4, 5 in the key of G. G, A, for some purpose, G, A, B, that'd be a 1 chord, a 2 chord, and the 3 chord. So you'd have a G major, an A minor, and a B minor. I hope that's somewhat clear to you. That's the Nashville number system, and that's really good to know. It helps you sort of write your musical ideas down in some sort of shorthand, and also it helps you to communicate with other musicians. It was come up with, invented in Nashville, of course. That's why it's called the Nashville number system. And it's sort of a musical shorthand, and can communicate very quickly but very effectively using that. So that's the Nashville number system. Intervals or intervallic relationships, for instance, let's see if I get this back here. The G, if you had the G and the B and you played them together, like in your garden variety first position G major chord, you would say that the G and the B make a harmony of a third. And that's because G, A, B, see where that's 3 steps away from the G, the first of the key, first note of the scale. So if you had G and B together, that would be a third. If you had G and C together, that would be a fourth. If you had G and D together, that would be a fifth, so on and so forth. I guess I might wrap this up now. I don't want to overload you too much. If there's anything you want me to go over more or try and cover it from a different angle, just let me know in the comments. I hope somebody gets something out of this. I'm going to go over the major scale once again before I let you go. And this is G major. So starting on the low E string, it's 3, 5, and then we're going to ascend through each of the strings. So we'll have you got to know the note names, you got to know the names of the strings also. It's E, A, D, G, B, E. Every astronaut deserves good bed expires. I don't know why I remember that. I just do. So G, A, B, C, B, C, G, A, G, A, G, A, G, A, D, G, B, E. That's E, A, D, G, B, E. The high E is 2 octaves up from the low E. So you have the low E here, go through the octave, and on the D string you have an E note at the 2nd fret. That's an octave up, and then the high E, that's 2 octaves up from the low E. It's the same note, just in a higher frequency. if this A note is 440 when you're in standard pitch, this A note here, then this note would be 880 measured in hertz. So the G major, starting on the low E string, have 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 2, 3. So it's starting on the low E, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 2, 3. Go through that one more time. Maybe write that down if you can. So on the low E, you have 3, 5. On the A string, you have 2, 3, 5. On the D string, you have 2, 4, 5. On the G string, you have 2, 4, 5. On the B string, you have 3, 5. And then on the E string, you have 2, 3. So 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 2, 3. One more time slow. 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, and 2, 3. So that's the G major in major scale in G, of course. G major scale would be in G. And we're starting on the G note on the low E string at the 3rd fret. Any major scale, though, is going to have those exact proportions or intervallic relationships within it. It's a series of whole notes, which is 2 frets. From G to A, for instance, that's a whole step. Pardon me, not a whole note. Whole note's different. So from G to A, or 2 frets away, that's a whole step. 1 fret is a half step, or sometimes called a tone. Like G to A is a tone. B to C, 1 fret, would be a semitone. But in guitar, it's often referred to as just a step. That's what we call the frets. So if we did that same position 2 frets up, for instance, that would be A major. And then we could build the chords off those, off the notes in that scale. And we'd have all the chords in an A major key. And this is all part of what's called diatonic harmony. And it's more guidelines than it is rules. It's not really rules. Don't really have rules in music, but we have a lot of guidelines. And you can borrow from other keys or use other information, so to speak, or modulate. It's perfectly fine. It's just this is the basis or the underpinning foundation of it all. So it's really good to learn this and get it under your fingers, so to speak, and get it in your head. Try and understand it. It's not easy. It's not rocket science, but it's not easy. If you're not a little bit confused and having a little bit of trouble with it, you're either a genius or you're not trying hard enough. It can be sort of confusing. Sometimes you have the principles of it. It bears repeating and spelling out different keys and seeing how the relationships, the intervallic relationships, are all the same. The intervallic relationships in G major are exactly the same as the intervallic relationships in A major. So you'll be able to understand that in a little bit. Get this under your head, under your fingers, and in your head a little bit, and you'll be on your way to being a bad guitar player. So I'm gonna leave you with this little tune, and I hope that was helpful. If you want me to cover something more, less, or different, just let me know in the comments. I'm trying to help. Hopefully I can be of some help to you. And take care. I'm Christian Taylor, 4027. Christian Taylor, 4027. Here in my secret studio. And I'm going to play you out here and say goodnight. Had a girl and I loved her so, but I loved her, I thought you should know. So I thought that I'd tell her one night, oh yeah. I said I love you, she looked at me and said I love you too, but take care.